the very concept of having a relationship with yourself is the thing that's creating a negative relationship with yourself. Remember, relationship with yourself only comes from trauma, only comes from there is separation. When it's good, we almost don't even call it a relationship with ourselves. You just are, and self-love is like our nature. We're just being ourselves. And so what you need to do is really to be able to restore yourself to that wholeness, to be able to restore yourself to loving all your parts. And so the most powerful and impactful force for self-improvement is actually self-love. It's not being hard on yourself. And that's the biggest misconception that people have. And what ends up happening is, instead of improving your relationship with yourself, you actually dissolve this concept of relationship with yourself, and you just are as you are. And that's the most beautiful way to be. Welcome back to Talk the Walk, where we explore how to walk your journey of healing, growth, and transformation with more success, ease, and joy. Hey, today I would love to talk to you about a specific topic that has been on my mind, and I have just been contemplating how important and how impactful it is in our lives, and that is our relationship with ourselves. So today I want to talk about your relationship with yourself and how to improve that, how to have a better relationship with yourself. Why does this matter? If you think about it, your relationship with yourself is the central pillar, the foundation from where every other relationship that you have starts from and is created from and is based on. And I'm not just talking about relationships with other people, which is also true. So if you care about your relationships with other people, and then your relationship with yourself is the most important thing that you can improve and transform to improve them as well. Because everything you do in relationships with other people is very often always a reflection of your own relationship with yourself and with the different parts of yourself that mirror others. So, but that as well, but not only that, also your relationship with life, the universe, situations, it's also a reflection of your relationship with yourself. How you feel about your life, how happy you feel with it, how stressed you feel about life, how unhappy you feel or frustrated at life, or whatever you feel. It's always a mirroring and an expression of your own relationship with yourself. And so this is why improving your relationship with yourself will result naturally in much better relationships with others and with life in general. So if you think about it, the way that you are inside is the way that will come out to your outside. And what is really your relationship with yourself? Well, in a way, it's mostly your inner state, how you relate to all your different parts and emotions and feelings. And again, this points back to that importance that we have discussed so often in this podcast of your emotional state and inner state on your life in every area of your life. So your relationship with yourself in a way can be seen as that relationship between you in your different parts and emotions, and also the relationship between them. So very often most people have a lot of inner conflict, different parts, different emotions fighting each other, hating each other, feeling afraid of each other. And there's always this inner tension going back and forth that creates all the self-sabotage and stress and overwhelm and freezing and all the difficulties in life. And so that can be seen as the relationship with yourself. And that points very easily to the fact that improving a relationship with yourself means improving your relationship with your emotions, with all the parts of you, feelings. It means doing the emotional work that we have been discussing so often here, and learning how to take all the different parts of you, all of the emotions that you have, understand why they're stuck in patterns of inner conflict and trauma and being stuck in all of that, and learn how to help them come back to that balance, to that regulation where they're working for you and not against you, and also where they are working together as a team. And so that is the central, that is the part, the core. But I also know that very often when people talk about improving my relationship with yourself, it's also very often manifested as that inner voice, that inner voice that we often experience as an inner critic. So that voice that tells you like you're not doing things right and it should be better, and you need to be a different way. You're not good. You're maybe even treating you in ways much worse than that. For some of us, sometimes it can happen. That is usually like the most easy to understand expression of your relationship with yourself. And that voice, that inner critic or that inner voice, what is it really? It's just another part of you, just another emotion that's trying to do its job. And its job right now, it's trying to, help you do, it thinks it's trying to help you do something. It thinks it's trying to help you achieve or help you maybe protect yourself from danger, from rejection, from abandonment, from punishment, from loneliness. Maybe it thinks it's the only way to exist. And if it doesn't do that, something bad will happen to you. And that's very common. But we know, and you know from experience, that actually what's really happening from all that constant inner criticism and negativity and self-judgment, it's actually not helping you improve that much. Maybe it's actually the thing keeping you stuck. It's probably not even helping you feel less rejected, and it's actually probably making you feel more rejected. And it's definitely not helping you live the life you want, not in a joyful, aligned, meaningful way. And so even though we need to understand that this voice, this part of you is trying to help you somehow, it's not doing its job in a way that's actually helping. So part of improving a relationship with yourself would actually also mean how to help this voice stop needing to be so critic and negative and judging to you all the time. And why is it even doing that? Why does it believe that it needs to do that way? And how can it transform into something that's much more supportive and loving, and something that actually helps you improve and achieve your goals and live the life you want with joy? Those are our questions and our goals. And so I want to start by saying, let's think about, what does this relationship with yourself actually is? What is it really? And where does this idea of it existing and it needing to be improved even come from? And with this, I want to go back to when you're a baby. Do you think babies have a relationship with themselves? Like when you're born, do you have a relationship with yourself? It's even weird to think about it, but if it's even weird to think about it right now, if you think about right now, like I have a relationship with myself, it's like me with myself, how is not the same thing. Like what's happening? It's like you're fragmented into two sides. So if you think about it, like babies, they don't seem to have a relationship with themselves. They're just existing. Even, we can say that even very early, they might even not have almost a relationship with the world around them and with other people around them. They're just like, everything is just one experience being presented to their senses. They're one with everything. Like, as we like to say, what monks spend many years meditating for, babies are like that when they're born, right? So they're not even like having what we call a relationship with the world or others, much less with themselves. They're just being purely present, experiencing. And then those relationships with others and the world start coming when their intellect starts forming and they start distinguishing. And it's needed to be able to navigate the world. Then we need to have those distinctions. And we also then need to, to have a sense of self to be able to navigate the world. Otherwise, without that, it's going to be very hard. So it's actually natural that we develop that sense of self. But having a sense of self is different from having a relationship with that sense of self. So what's the point of it? Where does it come from? Where does that relationship, like, okay, I have a sense of self, but now I have a relationship with this sense of self. What is even that? What is that for? It's like I either like myself or I don't like myself. I treat myself good or I treat myself bad. But what am I really treating? What am I really liking? So if you think about how this relationship with yourself is formed, it's usually like, think about like the baby going from just being to having an awareness of self, a sense of self, to actually starting to have a relationship with themselves. And you start to see, we usually only start talking, and this is important to understand. We usually only start talking about the relationship with ourselves when that relationship isn't that good. Even when we're asking the question and we're discussing this here, okay, how do I improve my relationship with myself? We're only thinking about this concept of a relationship with ourselves because that relationship isn't that good. When it's good, we almost don't even call it a relationship with ourselves. We just are. And self-love is like our nature. We're just being ourselves. There's nothing to have a relationship with. It's just being. So it's also, if you think about how this concept is first created as babies grow into children and then adults, this usually relationship with themselves, like, it usually means that there's something about themselves that they believe should be in a certain way. So the relationship with yourself starts when there's like a separation between you and yourself, which is impossible, but like in your mind that separation is created, and there's like you and then there's you, yourself. And that yourself becomes like an object, something to be reused, managed, work with. And it's only created because you learn that there's something that yourself needs to be or not be. Do you know where I'm going? So that idea of a relationship with yourself, that separation between like you and yourself, if that even is possible, is only created when there's like a learning, something that teaches you that there's this thing that you are that is actually supposed to be in a certain way. And if you're not that way, then there are negative consequences. But if you are that way, then there are positive consequences. And that's the moment when you lose like the full authenticity and wholeness of your being, and just start seeing yourself as like an object that should be a certain way and not the other way. And that's the true root, the true origin of the idea and the feeling of having a relationship with yourself, is when you turn yourself into an object that needs to be a certain way or not be a certain way. And only if you are that way, you're going to be loved and approved. And if you're not, you're going to be rejected and punished and abandoned. And that's really where this idea of a relationship with yourself comes from. It comes from a moment in your life, or many moments in your life, that teach you, hey, if you are that way, you're going to be punished, you're going to be rejected, you're going to be abandoned, you're going to get pain. But if you are that other way that people want you to be, or that the universe tells you should be, or not the universe, but maybe like culture or society tells you to be, then you're going to be accepted and approved and loved. If not, of course, the true meaning of love, but, loved, liked. And that's when, because you are a human being and you need survival to survive, and to survive you need connection, then you stop just being whole, just being full yourself. And you start seeing yourself as this object that you need to manage to be in a certain way. And of course, that is what we call trauma. And of course, that is an experience that feels very much the opposite of love. And of course, that all the parts inside of you that feel unloved because of that, they're going to fight back. And they're going to just be overwhelmed and blocked and get stuck, get frozen, get locked out. So this is how that inner conflict starts to be created. This is how that inner critic starts to exist. That inner critic is created first because you learn that, okay, now I need to become that certain way. And if I don't become that certain way, then I have negative consequences. So I have to have this inner critic trying to manage me all the time to make me be that way. And the only way it knows how to manage me is by criticizing me, by punishing me internally when I'm not being who I should be or what I should be. That's the only way it knows. And yeah, maybe, congratulating me when I am that thing, but since when I am like how I want it to be, but since this is mostly a survival based mechanism, this relationship with yourself thing, this inner critic, it's much more focused on the negative than on the positive. So its main job, its main preoccupation is to like make you feel bad about the things in you that are not how you're supposed to be, how you should be to be loved. And it's the only way it knows. And it's also mirroring probably the way that you learned that you have to be a specific way. It's probably also you learned that because someone judged you, criticized you, shamed you, blamed you, made you feel bad about it. So it's doing exactly what you learned that is done to you when you are that way to try and help prevent you from being that way. And that is how the inner critic was created. That is its function. It's just trying to manage you so you can be that way and not the other way. And then you call it a bad relationship with yourself that needs to be improved. That's where it comes from. So how can you improve your relationship with yourself? Well, look at that. The very concept of having a relationship with yourself is the thing that's creating a negative relationship with yourself. You need to understand where it's coming from. You need to understand that this relationship with yourself feeling is actually a feeling and a belief and a core trauma of there's some way that I should be and another way that I shouldn't be, otherwise I will be rejected, punished, pain. And so the way that to improve your relationship with yourself is by returning to your nature, which is the nature of unconditional love. And how do you do that? Well, of course that I'm not going to do an entire episode on deep emotional healing on this one, but you can then connect this one with that one. But in general, as we have already discussed many times, the way that you do that is you show the parts of you, you show the emotions of you that learned that they were unlovable, unsafe to exist. You validate them, you validate the experience that they went through. So if they don't feel loved, you validate, oh yeah, there was a moment that I did feel that someone did judge me, that someone did reject me, and that it did hurt when I was that way. And then you offer them your love unconditionally. And if you ask how, it would be really cool if I could tell you, but it's even cooler because self-love, unconditional love is your nature. And you will see that once you are able to validate and understand those parts of you, that self-love will come naturally. You don't need to force it. If at any time you feel like you're forcing it, then you need to identify what part of you is blocking that self-love to come through. And that's where you will find that inner critic, that self-judging part of you that's telling you, oh no, we cannot love that part. That part is bad. That part deserves rejection and judgment and abandonment. And if you show it, if you love it, you're going to get rejected and abandoned. Don't do that. That's the part that's trying to block you. And so that's what you find when you try to love those parts and you try to bring them back to wholeness, to heal them. You find that block, you find that resistance. And that's where the inner critic comes in, and that it's coming from that trauma. And so what you need to do is really to be able to restore yourself to that wholeness, to be able to restore yourself to loving all your parts. You need to show the inner critic. You need to show the parts of you that are trying to do that job of protecting you from being rejected again. You need to show them that that job is not necessary anymore. And you need to first acknowledge them. You need to first show the inner critic that, yeah, I understand why you're doing that. I understand you're trying to help me. I understand that you just want me to feel loved and accepted. And the way that you're doing it is not working. It's actually doing the opposite. It's actually harming me. It's actually making me feel more rejected and more in pain. So let me show you a better way. And then you can show love to the inner critic itself, to that part of you. And once the inner critic part of you feels that love, feels that you also love it and accept it, which that can be hard to do. And this is why this podcast is trying to show you that that inner critic has a function and is trying to help you so you can feel that love for it. Once you can love the inner critic, then the inner critic will understand that actually that love is what heals, and that love is what really helps you live the life you want. And then it will slowly, but the more you do that, the more you practice, the easier it will be. It will slowly start allowing you to also love all the parts of you. And that's how you improve a relationship with yourself, but it's not even... I don't even like that concept of improving the relationship with yourself, because once you start doing that, you're just actually returning to your natural state, the state that babies are born in, or you're just fully yourself. Self-love is not... Usually people see it and think it is like a relationship to yourself, like, it's not true. I see a lot of people who are in the healing work doing this, oh, I love myself, I really want to like myself. You know, like people who want to improve their self-esteem, like, I really want to like myself. That is still coming from that place of trauma, that place of inner separation. There's still like this self that they need to like, but it's still coming from a place of, oh, I need it to be a certain way, you know, I need to like myself so that I can love myself. So it's not even that. You're not like even liking or loving that concept of self that you created. You're really not having any more a relationship with yourself in that term. Because remember, relationship with yourself only comes from trauma, only comes from like, there's a separation. You're just returning to wholeness, to integration. And that is real self-love. It's just what it is. You're not even like relating to this concept of yourself in your mind and being like, oh yeah, I like myself. I have these qualities. Look at my qualities. Oh, I am actually smart. I'm good. I am a good friend. I am trustworthy. I am intelligent. I am beautiful. I have a lot of money, whatever it is. And because of that, I like myself. No, that is still the same trauma. That is still a bad relationship with yourself, because that is still you needing yourself to be a certain way to like yourself and to be liked. It's just another version of it, but it's still the same, and it's still keeping you stuck in that. So this coming back to loving yourself, coming back to that, it's actually a dissolution of this idea and this concept and this feeling of a relationship with yourself at all. It's like there's no more relationship with yourself. You just start to be you, and you naturally love all of you who you are, because that's your nature. Like self-love, just like babies are born, you love all of you are. All your parts, all your feelings, they're all welcome. They all can exist, and they don't need to change to be loved. And that's really what improving a relationship with yourself is about. It's about not even feeling like there's a relationship with yourself anymore. And that's a way that you can tell whether you're actually doing this work properly or you're like still getting stuck in the trauma way. It's like if you still feel like there's like a self that you like, and you like it because like you tell yourself, oh, I like myself because of these reasons, look at that. You're still stuck in the trauma. You're still stuck in needing yourself to be a certain way. You're still stuck in having that inner separation of this me thing that I can like or dislike. That's not the way that's actually going to help you bring yourself back to true self-love and to authenticity and to living the life you want. The way is to actually love, return to that love. First through the protection, which is the inner critic. First loving, showing the protector, showing the part of you that's thinking that you have this relationship with yourself and trying to manage you and trying to make you be a certain way by criticizing you all the time. And making that part feel what's it's like to be truly loved, unconditional love. And then from there, you'll be able to return to loving all your parts and all your feelings. And of course, this is the real work, learning how to love and befriend all your emotions. And this is why I always invite you to check out the support and the courses that we have for you in our website, starsoulschool.com. We created them to help you do this work with all the support and guidance that you need in the most effective, safest, and most enjoyable way. That's why I always recommend that. It's at starsoulschool.com again. And this is how you come back to, to having that just feeling purely yourself. There's not even that concept anymore. there's not even a concept of self-esteem anymore. Like that concept, if you're trying to have a higher self-esteem, you are in that trauma, you are in that separation, you are in that needing to be a certain way, to be liked or to like yourself. But the process is not, it's in even like not having that concept of self-esteem. It's just you love yourself because you are yourself, and you are not even in a relationship with yourself because there's not that trauma anymore blocking you. And I can feel, maybe some of you are afraid of, okay, Philip, but what if I stop being hard on myself, if I actually fully love myself and all my parts, even the parts that are not like good, then I will just stop improving, right? I'll just become complacent in life and just stop improving, and I'll become maybe even a bad person because I can love myself anyway. That's like the biggest misconception that people have. There's very often this concept of like, oh, I have to be hard on myself. Being hard on myself is the only way to improve. And I have coached many clients with this belief and with this pattern. Like, they're afraid that if they stop being hard on themselves, they will stop improving, they'll stop being liked again, because that's how they were treated and that's what was taught to them. But think about it. And this is always interesting to see when they think about it in the coaching, like how much has being hard on yourself has actually helped to improve, or how much has it actually blocked you from improving. And now think about the other thing. When you feel fully loved, when you feel like you're fully loved, all of you is loved and welcome, what naturally happens? Do you feel like you just don't care about improving anymore? Or do you just feel like even more excited and motivated about becoming even a better, happier person, about improving, if you want to call it that way? Right. So every human, all of us, we all have a natural core desire and movement towards improvement, towards growth, towards like becoming more whole, more beautiful, more authentic, more healed, if you want to call it that way, happier, present, more connected. We all have that natural desire and thrive. We don't need to do anything to do that to get there. It's our natural desire. It's where we naturally go. And so if we're not doing that, if we're not improving, then there must be something that is blocking that. So what we need to do is to unblock that. And it's not by shouting at ourselves and pushing ourselves or being hard on ourselves that thing is going to be unblocked. No, it's just going to be more blocked. It becomes unblocked when you can be fully ourselves, being whole again, returning to that self-love. And so the most powerful and impactful force for self-improvement is actually self-love. It's not being hard on yourself. And that's the biggest misconception that people have. And so just to finish this, with all of that, this shows that the very desire to improve yourself and to improve the relationship with yourself in itself is already a sign that you are in a bad relationship with yourself. It's already a sign that you think that you should be a certain way to be loved and accepted. So I want to improve my relationship with myself in itself is already a bad relationship with yourself, because you're telling yourself that you need to be better to improve your relationship with yourself so that you can love yourself, so that you can be loved and accepted. So even that desire itself is already coming from that place. And what I'm trying to show you is whenever you see that, whenever you feel inside, oh, I need to improve my relationship with yourself, just go back to what's underlying that. And what's underlying that is actually, oh, I want to love myself. I want to feel good about myself. And just be in that desire, because that's your core. And that part of you wanting to love yourself, wanting to like yourself, and it's already in itself, it's already self-love. And if you just connect with that, you just come back to it. And it's not by actually going and trying to improve myself, or how do I improve my relationship with myself, it's not what's going to work for you. It's just going to keep you stuck in that self-improvement wheel where you're actually maybe you're improving yourself, but you're always still stuck in that need to be a certain way. And that's the core concept of what I want to share with you today. Your relationship with yourself and the need to improve your relationship with yourself comes from the belief that you need to be a certain way, to love yourself and to be loved. And the true improvement to your relationship with yourself comes when you are able to let go of that need and that belief by returning to that self-love that you are at your core, and by working through the protective parts, the layers of the traumas that have been created through the process, using the process that I taught you, and hopefully with our guidance and support. And what ends up happening is, instead of improving your relationship with yourself, you actually dissolve this concept of relationship with yourself, and you just are as you are. And that's the most beautiful way to be. And then you can also be yourself as you are with others, and your relationships become much more connected and authentic, because there's not even like a need to be anything else. You are just being. And also with the world, you become much more happy with the world because you feel you can just be full yourself, all parts of you, and the universe responds to that and gives you a life that is aligned with that. And that's beautiful. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. Many more thoughts are coming around this topic, and they will be discussed in other episodes about self-esteem, all of that. But I think today I wanted to share this core idea with you, and I hope it helps. See you next time. Thanks for listening to this episode of Talk the Walk. If you enjoyed it, like us and send it to someone who you think will like it too. We love your feedback and interaction, and you're welcome to leave us a comment or review, ask a question, or just reach out. Lastly, if today's conversation stirred something in you, remember, you don't have to walk this path alone. Our Star Soul Skill community is where these conversations continue, where you can connect with others on similar journeys and access the courses and support designed to help you integrate this work into your daily life. You will find everything at starsoulschool.com, and the link is in the show notes. See you next time.